Good evening. Welcome to SEC Baseball Reaction on a Sunday night. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty and Alfred Esmond. We will talk about what we saw in the SEC today and some other things from the weekend, some stuff of interest. We'll take your questions, we'll take your comments, all that stuff. People can't wait for this, I'm sure. Oreo's banging my door down behind me. That's how we know it's baseball season. People just can't wait to get in the middle of this. Gentlemen, here are the scores from today in order they are listed on the SEC scoreboard. Texas takes a series with Kentucky with a 5-4 win today. The Longhorns win that one 2-1. Arkansas loses the game today and also the series to Georgia in Athens. And probably the headliner of the weekend, you got Mississippi State and Alabama. State comes from behind to win 2 games. The headliner, Arkansas, Georgia is what I meant. But State, an impressive series win in Tuscaloosa. Tennessee, in a seesaw game today, knocks off Ole Miss to take that series 3-2 in Oxford. LSU swept at Auburn. Don't think we saw that one coming. Auburn really pitched well this weekend. We'll get into what the Tigers did today. And finally, Vanderbilt salvages the series at Oklahoma with a run rule win. Graham, I'll throw it to you. Let's start Ole Miss, Tennessee. That was a crazy one today.
Yeah, it really was. And I guess I'll go small picture takeaways, big picture takeaways. To me, the weakness for this Ole Miss team is the bullpen, and we kind of got a taste of that today. Ole Miss went with Morris. What was it? Game 1, Morris was lights out. Game 1, he couldn't really go the rest of the way. We got to see Hooks at some point, but today, I can tell you this from like an Ole Miss fan point of view. The storyline for this game is the decision to bring in Jones. Now, Ole Miss was kind of at the point where like they didn't really have anybody else other than to turn to Jones in that situation. Jones, his ERA in SEC play is almost 20. It's probably going to go up after today, and opponents are batting almost 500 against him. That's probably going to go up today as well. So that was the difference, especially late in this game. This game was back and forth, really fun, really exciting. It's, Sam was there. Chris, you just put, his thoughts on it, but I kind of think if you're Ole Miss, so like we're at the midway point here as an Ole Miss fan, like you're going to say, I will gladly take this. This is a team that was picked second to last preseason wise, winning record, SEC play, midway point of the season. And to me, it also shows like this is not fluky for Ole Miss, if that makes sense. Like the Arkansas series wasn't a fluke. Neither is this Tennessee series. Like this is a very good Ole Miss team. Now it has some flaws, especially pitching wise, but when Ole Miss is playing, especially at home, it's going to be a tough out. But Tennessee, I mean, this is what makes Tony Vitello so good. Like they're so good mentally, and this was a mentally tough bunch as they have been like the last, I'd say 2 to 3 years in Knoxville. And I mean, if that's not a strong team mentally, like that's a team that just doesn't come away with the series win this weekend.
No, definitely not. Right. And you had to stay mentally tough, especially in this game. Sam alluded to it. They had 4 errors in this game. Usually things don't go well for you when you do that. However, Tennessee's ability to hit the home run ball when they needed to in clutch situations was massive in bouncing back from that. Cannon Peebles and Reese Chapman both had big home runs today to put Tennessee back ahead and to keep them right there in this game. And eventually that worked out in their favor, and they were able to get it done in a huge road series win. The Ole Miss crowd today was really good. Really, really good. And it's probably been good all weekend, but that was a raucous bunch. They let Andrew Fisher hear it every time he was struck out or got out or something did not go his way. Super
Today was his biggest day, by the way, Fisher.
Yeah, that too. A big takeaway I had too for Tennessee. I said it last night when Chris and I did a recording. Nate Snead was saved for today, and he was huge. He got the win. 2 2/3, 2 strikeouts, just 2 strikeouts. Did walk 2 guys, but gave up no earned runs. He did give up an unearned run. Nonetheless, very well enough to go in there and get it done. And then Dylan Lloyd coming back in on Sunday and putting 20 pitches in to help in this winning effort. Huge series win for Tennessee. A great way to bounce back after an abysmal Saturday a weekend ago, and it was just clutch home run balls, kind of their signature, really, when they're at their best.
Yeah, and also like a point I forgot to make. All the Ole Miss players that hit the portal, the majority of them were pitchers, and to me, like that is really impacting this Ole Miss team this season because a lot of these guys would be in moments like this today, like Grayson Saunier, who was really good today for Texas. Like that's a guy that would have been a big time factor in this Ole Miss rotation, either starting pitching wise or bullpen. JT Quinn, another one that's at Georgia, and then Wes Mendez of Florida State. So if Ole Miss would have had, these three arms, and they also lost Xavier Rivas. He made the decision to go to the draft and not come back. So, I mean, if Ole Miss has like half of those guys come back, I think Ole Miss would be feeling really, really good the rest of the way. I still think the Rebels will feel good the rest of the way because their schedule's pretty manageable compared to some of the other ones in the league. But, I mean, there's plenty to take away, pros, cons for both Ole Miss and Tennessee. I guess my hot take, not only from this series, but just from around the league, I don't think there's just like one total dominant team. I think everybody has flaws like here and there, and we'll see them at certain points for everybody throughout the course of the season. I just don't think that there's like a super clear cut favorite. I mean, I do think there's Arkansas and then kind of everybody else, but everybody has holes this season, more so than normal, what it feels like.
Yeah, I still think Arkansas is the most complete team in the league, despite the loss. And that was at Georgia. Somebody correct me. I did know that. I don't know why I said that was in wherever I said it was. In any case, I thought, pre-series, I thought that, I mean, I wasn't shocked that the series played out the way it did. But you thought if it gets to Sunday, Tennessee's got a huge pitching advantage. I mean, and after –
big time.
When they get the bullpen, when you burn Morris Friday night, McCausland has come on. Hooks has been pretty good. Spencer's been pretty good. But, I mean, they were using some names today that honestly I was not that familiar with to kind of mix and match for outs at the end. Man, that was a wild series, guys. The stolen base parade, what was it, yesterday? Tennessee didn't defend very well, as Sam pointed out at times. And, it's kind of interesting as you see Tony Vitello trying different defensive combinations across the diamond. I mean, usually that's a team that just slugs it and they deal with the defense. I feel like he's maybe put a little bit more emphasis on defense, and they do have some good defenders, particularly in the outfield. But the infield has just felt like it's mix and match lately. But for Tennessee, that was a tough spot to get a road win with all the emotional buildup and the drama and the storylines. Never really got close to everything breaking loose other than when Fisher got hit on the hand and there was John from the stands. But I felt like that was a tamer series than I expected.
Well, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure like before all this started, like, again, we have a pretty decent sample size with Mike Bianco and just like his track record and character. Like, he hasn't come remotely close to having a brawl like as a team against somebody. It's just not who he is. It's just not what he does. So I figured there might be something here or there, and there was. I mean, mostly I guess the game one with Liam Doyle. I mean, he was like jumping up to the moon after every half inning when when he was done. Some of that's to be expected, but I mean also it's like, okay, like we get it, you're cruising, you didn't clinch the pennant here. But I mean, I didn't think there'd be any fights or anything like that. This was fun. I mean, the bottom line, this was a fun, entertaining series, and we had a lot of those across the league this year or this weekend.
Yeah, and here's what I want to go next, and I'll start with you, Alfred. Arkansas, Georgia. First night, Arkansas runs away with. The next 2 days, the game's delivered. Georgia wins today. I think in extra innings. Had a little long ball power going. What stuck out to you today?
Georgia stayed with it. Even when Charles Davalon got a scoring play in extra innings, Georgia stayed with it. Trey Phelps, who came back during the series for the Georgia Bulldogs, hit a double that scored Dan Jackson. And then Oh, I had it. Who was it? Hunter Henry, right? Hunter Henry.
Yeah, had the walk-off home run.
Right, or Henry Hunter, excuse me, came
Henry
in
Hunter.
and walked it off. Yeah, we're not talking NFL here. Wrong
We're
guy.
not talking Arkansas tight
Yeah.
ends, right? We're talking Georgia
Right.
catchers. You mix the names up and you get very different guys.
Right. Well, Henry Hunter came in and walked it off, obviously, and got a massive series win for Georgia. My lesson learned here, guys, I am not picking against Georgia at home the remainder of the season. That is a tough lesson I learned this weekend. They're really just flat out great at Foley Field. And if they end up being a national seed where they'll host in a regional and super, it's going to be hard to keep them out of Omaha if they keep it up at this rate, just based off that home field kind of advantage they have. But going back to this game itself, Leighton Finley was pretty dang good. 5 2/3, 8 strikeouts, 1 earned run for him. He only walked one guy. Georgia threw a slew of arms after him that held their own. Alton Davis, Zach Harris, Tyler McLaughlin gave up a brutal home run to Vahiva Aloy that kind of tied the game back up. But besides that, he looked pretty good. And then Brian Zeldin came in and finished it out the last 3 1/3 to get the win. So massive series win for Georgia. After getting beat by Texas in that series, they come back. They have to play Arkansas to rebound, which is a tough rebound in and of itself, and they do that. So more power to Wes Johnson and the Bulldogs. They are just once again proving that they may not be, winning the SEC just because of the amount of teams that can do it, but they're up toward the top of the SEC for sure.
Yeah, both of these teams are. I mean, I would be stunned if neither one of these teams are in the mix, the rest of the way, the regular season, and then in postseason play as well. To me, like something that's going to haunt Arkansas, especially for the game today, game 3. They just weren't the best with runners in scoring position. 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and overall they were just 2 for 16 with a runner on base. So you get a timely hit here or there. Who knows? This series could be different. But you got to give props to Georgia, especially with the way game 1 went, where you're getting run ruled and just kind of shellacked, not really competitive, to bounce back the next 2 games and win 2 really, really fun, entertaining, close ball games. I mean, that says a lot about Georgia. And Alfred, I'm with you. Whenever they're in Athens, they're going to be extremely difficult to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to be difficult to beat anywhere if they get what they got this weekend. I think Zeldin in relief gave him, 3 1/3 scoreless. He's the guy that transferred from Penn 2 years ago, was one of their better bullpen arms last year. I think the upset of the weekend was Georgia getting better starting pitching in 2 of the 3 games. Beidelshees was okay today. Really, I think just about all the runners he gave up scored. And then yesterday, Gackle kind of got lit up. Meanwhile, Georgia, Leighton Finley was great today, and Colton Smith was great yesterday. We said for Georgia going in, and I think both these teams have left a little bit on the table with pitching. I mean, Arkansas's got a great staff, but we thought this had a shot to maybe be a staff for the ages. So far, it hadn't really been that with Gackle, and I think we thought Georgia's pitching would be better, either just through sheer numbers or the fact that I like some of their starters going into the year. Maybe you see Georgia rounding into form. I've had Georgia outside that top 3 on my head for a while, regardless of whatever the records were and the resumes were, just because when you look at the pitching and do you have 8, 9, 10 guys that you really don't want to see if you're in the other dugout. Georgia just hadn't had that. It hadn't had more than really so far Brian Curley and an occasional guy here and there. But if that's the Georgia you get going forward, I think they're super dangerous, which they are anyway with their hitting. For Arkansas, I do think some of these guys are going to throw better. And I don't really pass harsh judgment, getting hit a little bit in Athens, because who has not been hit in Athens so far?
Right.
Also, I mean, it looks like Georgia shook things up rotation-wise this weekend, right? I mean,
was it different guys? I mean, and Alfred, they've started Curley the last few weeks, and he's been more an opener than a starter.
I think Goldstein, I mean, that was really different. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. I mean, Finley and Colton Smith have both been in the rotation at times. Goldstein has been more of an opener than a starter. So, I mean, Alfred, am if I got that right. You might remember the rotations is they've been every weekend better than I do.
Yeah, I mean, well, with Curley, he's gone really 5 innings every time he's been on the mound. So I
Okay.
guess you consider an open, but that's really, I mean, that's all you can ask from him in the starting role. And he's had that's been a roller coaster of a year for him to go from closing to that and kind of thriving in a starting role. But yeah, they switched it up a little and it worked to their advantage. So, more power to them, honestly. And as for Arkansas pitching, I wouldn't be too discouraged. I mean, this is a potent lineup, like we said. I thought Wiggins and Carter were both really good in relief
Yeah.
today. It was just the back end that kind of blew it down the stretch. So don't get too shaken up, Arkansas fans. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you're right. Curley's been 5 innings the last 4 starts.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't gone over 91 pitches. Yeah, so it's a good call. I had misremembered that. Anything else from Georgia, Arkansas before we move to whatever's next?
No, I mean, just two really good teams. Like as Alfred said, I'm not really worried about Arkansas at all. They're going to be fine, and Georgia will as well. I'm looking ahead to next week. Georgia, they got Vandy in Nashville, which will be good. And then this is intriguing. Arkansas A&M in Fayetteville. That's next weekend.
Yeah. For guys getting late in the chat, let's hit a couple things. Mississippi, Tennessee was the most entertaining series of the weekend. Probably right. Arkansas, Georgia would have a case too, and really Texas,
and then
Kentucky.
Texas, Kentucky. Yeah, that had everything.
Yeah, but we did get to that, Robert. If you missed it, you can always go back and catch this on our channel. We do store the live one, so you can go back and hear. We spent about 10 minutes on that one. Let's see what else. Late to the show, Randy Etheridge wants to know, did you miss the horn hate already? No, Randy, we've saved the horn hate just for you. We'll get there in just a minute. But I want to go. This was a stunner. I mean, I wasn't floored that Auburn. If he said Auburn takes the series from LSU, I'd go, okay. Sam Dutton, Friday night's been pretty close to unbeatable. Chase Shores has been probably more missed than hit compared to what we expected. I could have seen it. I didn't pick it. I did not see a sweep coming, guys. And Alfred, Auburn's pitching was tremendous all weekend.
It was. Yeah. I mean, that's really the story again today, right? LSU coming back down 3-0 like they were today has happened, I would imagine, before this year. And if it hasn't, they can very well do it. We've seen it time and time again with what kind of offense they have. But that's all Auburn went up, and that was all they needed. I mean, LSU got 2 runs in the 8th by way of Stephen Milam, scoring play from him, and then Jake Brown. But yeah, the pitching once again was strong and steadfast. Griffin Graves was really good out of their bullpen. He walked 4 guys, gave up 2 earned runs. But again, that stretch he had of 3 1/3 was long enough to really prolong LSU doing anything major beyond that. So credit to him. And then Dylan Watts with the save. I'm going to go off what someone said in the chat. Auburn has Texas next weekend. If you bring that kind of pitching against Texas, you have a chance. I'll go ahead and say that. Sorry, there's some horn hate for you guys because I know you were waiting on it. But legitimately, though, I think if this pitching plays the same way, there's a true chance that series can go Auburn's way because it led to a sweep over really a top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, 6 runs. Or sorry, LSU scored 8 runs all weekend, guys.
Just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
By the way, Texas Rocks brings it up. You remember the number 1 curse? When are we hopping on that train? Are we off that train?
Hey,
you remember? It was
we
like
can't spoil the fun tomorrow, can we?
You remember? It reminds me of do you guys remember the college football season 2007 when it was just like whoever was number 1, it was just hot potato. Like,
yeah,
you lose. Now you're number 1. That insane year. So that's kind of what we got so far. By the way, if you look at our picks, it was a rough weekend for all 3 of us. So when I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. I got this wrong. Like, my bad. Welcome to the top 10. My takeaways for Auburn. And what really impresses me is they didn't really have one guy offensively just kind of like carry the load all weekend. Everybody had their moments in every single game. I mean, they're so balanced. Like one game, it's the freshman Terrell. You know, Ike Irish was consistent. Today, Cooper McMurray had a timely hit. That's just what makes Auburn dangerous. And they got a lot of confidence right now. They're playing at home. They're setting attendance records. We need to shout that out. They got around 7,500 or so today. They keep playing like this. I mean, they're probably going to break, 8,000 here soon for the single game attendance record. So the new ballpark is gorgeous. They sell it out, standing room only. So the way Auburn's going, like what a really bounce back, excellent season so far for the Tigers, and they are without a doubt one of the pleasant surprises for sure this season.
Yeah, they have really branded that War Eagle wall, haven't they?
They have, and like they've had the Green Monster forever, and then I don't know whose idea it was hey, let's do what they do at Fenway Park and let's put people on top of it. That was an A plus idea.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's doing that next, by the way. So we'll have two
for next season.
I would love to go and just sit in those seats at Auburn and just watch. That would be so cool. We need to do that sometime. We need to like get if they could set us up a booth or something on the War Eagle wall. Butch Thompson, if you're listening, make that happen for us. That would be so cool.
I'll be there in a couple weeks, so I'll put in the word.
Sam said it was Jay's idea.
Okay, well, a lot of Jay's idea apparently. I think the thing, like again, back to the thing, I just didn't think Auburn would have the pitching to get through the weekend. Andreas Alvarez started today, wasn't dominant, but 4 scoreless, didn't walk anybody. I've really liked him when I've seen him pitch. The numbers aren't good. I think that kid's a freshman. Griffin Graves, the line's not great. 2 earned over 3 1/3, 4 walks, but I think that was a career long for him, and I think he came in to get Alvarez out of a jam. So the outing probably played better than it does on paper, and then Dylan Watts goes an inning and 2/3 to get the save there. I just did not know if Auburn after Dutton, especially with Cade Fisher having been so uneven, would have the arms to get through, but they did. On the LSU end, Zach Cowan, I don't know what that ERA is now. It's got to be like half a run or something like that. He was great again today, but Shores gave up 3 in 2 innings, and that was enough. Irish had, I think, McMurray had the 2-run double. That was the big hit in that one.
Yep. Irish. Okay. Irish was probably the most consistent hitter all weekend, but again, that's what makes Auburn tough. They got different guys, a lot of underclassmen too. We've touched on their freshmen a lot. They're certainly not afraid of the moment. What a bright future Auburn has if they're able to hold on to them. And yes, I'm with Sam, by the way. Sam and Chris on top of the Green Monster at Vandy.
There we go.
Vandy next year.
Yes,
we'll have to keep the alcohol away from Sam. Let's do this one. We'll go back to the top in Texas. Let's say bad things about the Longhorns after they beat Kentucky 5-4 to win the series today. What hate do we have for the Longhorns, Alfred? Let's start with you.
Oh, I can't wait to do this. Will Gasparino, awful performance today.
Terrible.
3 for 4. 2-run double in the 3rd inning, kind of got it Texas way out in front. And Kentucky kind of had to play catch up the rest of the day. That really was the story offensively. Kimball Schuessler came in and delivered another RBI double to kind of even push Texas even further. And Kentucky once again had to play catch up. Man, Ruger Riojas, guys, he is really good in that Sunday spot. 6 2/3. He did give up those 9 hits, but again, was pretty solid with runners in traffic. Kentucky was only able to get 3 of those in. He had 3 earned runs on the day. He only walked 2 guys. That length was well enough to get Texas this win. And then Grayson Saunier came in and shut down the rest. Only 1 earned run, and he recorded the save in 2 1/3. Looking at Kentucky, what happened here? Ben Cleaver, I think, just got jumped on early. And even though he went, 5 innings? Yeah, even though he only went 5 innings, he went 5 innings. Kentucky just didn't have the offense to catch up with that, and that's what hurt them in the end. This was kind of just Texas not being super explosive all day, but keeping themselves in front enough to really earn this win, and a good win. I think going to Lexington, that's far from Austin. Obviously, it's a hike. You don't know really, if your players are going to really give it their all just because of maybe weather changes, that sort of thing. But it didn't matter. They went out there and got a big time series win. So big stuff from Texas. That they're going to probably be the number 1 team in the country come tomorrow.
Probably. Do you want to address that, Chris?
The best day 3 starter.
Best 3 day starter.
He might be. He's not. I don't think he's been on that role long. He was pitching out of the pen to start the year, and as I remember, he threw a ton of innings. I think at Texas San Antonio last year, unless I'm confusing him with somebody else. But anyway, I don't even want to know what's in the comments here. Yeah, I mean, he went against the one of the other guys that would be in that conversation for Kentucky today, and got the best of them. And look, Texas fans, you're new to the league. Kentucky's a tough place to play. It's cold there a lot of times. Kentucky defends. They'll bunt. They'll run. They'll do things like you saw what happened in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
You drop down a bunt. They throw to first. Don't cover from right field. There's your ball game. Kentucky is a tougher matchup, probably, on the field than it is in paper. So that's a big win.
Yeah, it is. Their 6-9 conference record is very misleading. Again, guys, like they've had the lead in every SEC game they played in this season. So I mean, Texas should be extremely proud coming away with this, because it is different. 3 weekends in a row where we have a lot of fireworks with Kentucky, by the way. I know nothing really happened today, but all the action happened pretty early yesterday with Mingione, right? Getting tossed and all that. So Texas, I mean, this is a gritty win, and I was really impressed today with Grayson Saunier. I mean, it's only his 5th appearance all season, and he does what he does today on the road, the 3 1/3. I mean, he is a big reason why Texas was able to win this game today and win the series.
Yeah. What did Nick Mingione get tossed for? I saw the video, but I didn't hear what happened.
I didn't see it live. Again, I had a lot going on yesterday, but I think it was I think it was just the good old balls and strikes, wasn't it? Just from his comments post game and everything. I mean, he said he cleaned his locker and just was like, "I'm out." So he just left.
Yeah,
a bit more fire.
Good. Well, and here's what's crazy. They're doing all this without their best player, guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think I haven't checked late. I think they might get him back for postseason. Am I remembering that?
There's a chance if it heals good.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That could change because of draft stuff too. And he's going to be high up there. So.
Yeah, he was a mid-first rounder coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe mid to late, but squarely in that territory.
Just a lot of chatter by the Longhorn fans, missing Blue and want to get him back and all that. So, I mean, if they can, he's definitely a major factor and a big weapon for sure. So, that's the good thing about the injury report. These coaches are open and honest for the most part about him. So, we got a better idea of what's going on.
Okay, we have not gotten to Mississippi State at Alabama, Vanderbilt at Oklahoma. Let's go to the series in Tuscaloosa first. Story here, Nate Williams. I don't know how much we've talked about Nate Williams, but he has been awesome out of the bullpen for State. Was again today, 3 1/3 innings, 4 strikeouts. Carson Ligon had a good start. I think that's his second good one in a row from memory. I can look that up. State goes into Tuscaloosa, and I think among all the other big series and the Georgia, Arkansas, and the Tennessee, Ole Miss drama and all that, this one kind of got overlooked, and State really needed to get it this weekend and did.
Yes, massive weekend for Mississippi State. Obviously, with the Mingione, not Mingione. with the Chris Lemonis noise happening, all of a sudden they've turned it around really since then. And today was a really good example of that. The other pitcher, Chase Hungate, has also been pretty good out of the bullpen for them. 1 2/3 today, 3 strikeouts. He gave up 1 hit that led to 1 unearned run, but nonetheless, you'll take that if you're Mississippi State. Scoring wise, Sawyer Reeves had a home run. He's been pretty big for them hitting as of late from what I've seen. Ace Reese went in there and kind of, helped decide this game along with Highfill. The long balls were working, and they've worked pretty often for Alabama in their own ballpark, and it worked for Mississippi State in that ballpark. So great stuff from Sam is being so sarcastic tonight, and I don't really appreciate it. So I just want to get that in there as well. No, it's not far. It's not far from Tuscaloosa, Sam. But nonetheless, great road series win for Mississippi State. Like I said, they really have turned this ship around ever since Chris Lemonis was left for dead, really.
Yeah, they really have. And really, my big takeaway for State, they were really good on defense this weekend. They only had 1 error today. They mixed things up on the infield, like no Cup. Nobody has more errors in the SEC than Cup. So he didn't really get a lot of action defensively this weekend. So, and the guys that they did play made the most of it. Like Reeves, who was the shortstop this weekend, and Reese, that combination for State was a big reason why State was able to win this series on the road. So their pitching has been pretty consistent, pretty good all year long. And now if their defense turns it around with the schedule they got the rest of the way, like State could be, making a trend in the right direction at the right time as well.
Yeah. The schedule left for them, let's see, Florida, Auburn, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Missouri.
It's not bad.
Look, all those are going to be tough series to win except for one. But there's no Arkansas, there's no Texas, A&M with the way it's playing right now. So that there's opportunity there. They got to start. Well, they've had some stumbles in the midweek too, although that's been a little bit now that I look. That's been on the rearview mirror a bit. They've won what? 8 straight midweeks? Yeah.
I think they're done. Like, they don't play Southern Miss.
Yeah, the tough ones are done. They played Southern Miss twice in Troy, and I think quietly they have assembled some pitching depth. They've got several of the ingredients of a team that could get to a super and really even get to Omaha. And that's, you got a dude on Friday nights, and you got 7 or 8 guys who can come in and really get you some outs efficiently. So,
yeah, and they did a nice job of like not being afraid to like do things differently pitching wise. Like, they've been pretty aggressive and mixing things up, starting rotation wise, and then just putting guys that were starting like in the bullpen. So it just kind of feels like Lemonis is pushing all the right buttons right now. Like, everything is clicking. Like, they didn't get any breaks the first 10 to 13 games of SEC play, and then now like they're playing well and the ball's starting to bounce their way.
Let's talk Alabama a minute. The offense early in the year in the non-conference portion, this was a team that was rivaling Tennessee for pick your number, home runs, whatever. It has dropped off a lot since then. I mean, they're still good, and I think, look, that's probably got a lot with playing Tennessee, Oklahoma, Auburn, Mississippi State so far. Where are we with Alabama, Alfred?
Well, today they had 2 guys get hits. Those 2 guys were Will Hodo and Brady Neal. Yeah, were the only 2 guys who got hits. Justin LeBron, 0-for. I don't know if he's ever done that this year aside from today. I wouldn't be shocked if this was the first time. But you gotta find a way to get that back in your arsenal, because that was the strength of your team throughout non-conference play, and then really SEC play has exposed that for a lot of this. They are still holding on to this might be updated, but 8-7 record in SEC play. So they still have that above 500 record. With that being said, though, you're going to face tough pitching outside of Mississippi State and teams you've played going forward. So You just gotta get obviously Justin LeBron going and getting hits in games. You can't have him go over. I don't know if Alabama wins a single game going forward if Justin LeBron goes over. That's just by the nature of what kind of player he is. But yeah, that's really going to be the key for them. I think their pitching is good enough. I mean, even today, the final score was 4-2. Alabama's offense on a good day can win a game down 4 runs, but really it's their hitting. They just need to find a way to rebound off that. They need a series that helps them with that. So that's the asterisk with them going forward.
They just need to be consistent. Like, we all know LeBron is good, but it just seems like in SEC play, he'll have one monster game and then just kind of be quiet the other 2 games. So he just needs to be more consistent. They need guys like Hodo to be more consistent as well. Like, he had 1 hit today, and then Snell went 0 for 3 as well. So the talent is there. Like, we all know that. It's just they just need to find confidence, momentum somewhere. And the key for them is consistency. I know that's easier said than done, but again, they got the talent. Feels like everybody essentially has talent in this league. But they're going to have to do a little bit of soul searching here, because this is, they were playing lights out, and then the last 3 weekends they haven't played to the ability that, we all think that they could be. The other thing, I'm a little bit surprised, State had given up the most stolen bases in SEC play, like by a wide margin. I didn't know if Alabama would try to attack that. That's not really what they do. And that just wasn't in the cards this weekend they didn't even really try to bother. Like, they didn't have a stolen base today. They didn't even try to attempt one. So, you kind of wonder for both teams, will that be something that they, just to mix it up, try to do things differently, got to get a spark one way or the other.
They, their schedule the rest of the way is next weekend, LSU at Baton Rouge. Yikes. I don't know if your hitting can wake up with that after LSU is probably angry about losing and going back home. Good news, though. After that, you got Missouri and Tuscaloosa. You go to Nashville to play Vanderbilt, then back at Tuscaloosa to play Georgia. And then at the end of the year, they go to Gainesville to play Florida. So there's a few hard ones mixed in, but they do have that Missouri. I hate saying this, but they do have that Missouri series on the horizon, which can be used for a bounce back.
Poor Missouri.
I know.
I think we haven't touched on them yet, but I think the doubleheader hurt them. Like, maybe if they played 9 inning games, maybe they got one. Like, I think, Chris, you said they were going to get one this weekend. I just think the weather and the doubleheader just impacted Mizzou.
Yeah. All right, last one today that we've not talked about, that is Vanderbilt run ruling Oklahoma today in a dramatic turnaround from the way the first 2 went. Vanderbilt looked as bad as it had looked all year, which had a lot to do with Malachi Witherspoon and Cade Crossland. But today Vanderbilt turned the tables, started being more aggressive at the plate, got 2 outstanding outings out of Fennell and Sawyer Hawks, and ended up salvaging the series with, 13-1 there. So Oklahoma gets the series. Vandy gets the game today.
Yeah. Vanderbilt, you have to love this based on the way you played the first 2 games, the ability to go to Norman and get at least a game out of this. Again, the NCAA tournament stuff, right, guys? Math problem. Vanderbilt, I think you got to look at it like you're helping to solve the math problem with the win today. The offense just really got jump-started. Nelson and Holcomb both homered, and it just took off from there. I think that just put a jolt into this lineup that really helps. You look at the hitting. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys with multiple hits today for Vanderbilt. And then, oh, man, Holcomb had 4 RBIs, too. He was massive all game today. Connor Fennell went 4 1/3. He pretty decent day. 1 earned run given up, 5 strikeouts. You'll take that out of him. Sawyer Hawks with a really good job closing out the game as well. Like I said, if you're Vanderbilt, you'll take the win and help solve the math problem today, even though you lost this series. Getting on the road and getting a win does mean something in this league.
Yeah, so this is a series I just totally got wrong and missed. So that's on me. Definitely whiffed on this one. Congratulations to Oklahoma. I mean, remember how bad their offense has been like the
Yeah.
last 2.5 weeks, and then that just take today out. Like their offense was really, really good this weekend. So this is a series that they needed. So congratulations to the Sooners. Today, like it's got to be super frustrating for Oklahoma because if you would before this game started, if you would have told Skip Johnson Malachi Witherspoon is going to get 11 strikeouts, I think he would be like, okay, like we're going to be in this. Like I'd feel really good. And then you lose by 9. So he gave up, I think it ended up being 6 earned runs, Malachi. But if you're Vandy, you needed this one. And it just seems like, Chris, we were kind of talking about this afternoon. It just seems like the message was, guys, like we need this one. Like we got to play with an edge today, and this was a big win to salvage Game 3 for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Malachi Witherspoon is an interesting guy because the strikeout rate had been well below average for a starting pitcher in the league. And today he strikes out a ton of guys. No, some of that might have been Vanderbilt's approach. It was just swinging from the heels and trying to get it out. There may have been a wind blowing out today. I'm not sure. So that was kind of an interesting approach. A lot. He and his brother have got good stuff, but Kyson's way ahead of him. And I know we talked to Skip Johnson. He thinks they're both major league pitchers. The way that he pitched today, I can see the talent there. But the refinement, I guess he was just catching too much plate on some of those maybe and paid for it. I'll tell you, this is the most I've watched Oklahoma all year. Guys, I'm really impressed with the way they defend. Easton Carmichael, their catcher, is tremendous behind the plate. The left side of their infield's really good. Oklahoma and Skip Johnson, that's a fun ball club to watch. It's not quite the slow pitch softball that you get from some other teams, but I like the way they play.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like Kentucky,
right?
And teams like that, just good defense, still a lot of bases, not a lot of power.
Yeah. All right, let's reset the standings after the weekend. We've got Texas alone at the top, 13-2, 29-5 overall. We'll see if the Longhorns can win a midweek game. That's where the trouble's been so far. Arkansas next in sole possession of second, 13-3. Tennessee alone in third at 11-4. Georgia and LSU tied at fourth, 10-5. Ole Miss, Auburn tied for sixth, 9-6. Alabama and Vandy at eighth, 8-7. Followed by Oklahoma alone in 10th. Kentucky 6-9 at 11th with A&M. Mississippi State at 5-10. Florida 4-11. 3 of those coming this weekend. South Carolina 2-13, and winless watch on for Missouri 0-10. 0-15.
So midway point, what stands out? Any surprises, disappointments? What you got?
Texas joining the league and being at the top of the league in year 1. I don't know if it's a surprise, but it's kind of, you got to feel good if you're a Texas fan seeing that. And you're going to be, I would be shocked if you're not number 1 in D1 Baseball's rankings tomorrow. So good stuff there. I'm a fan of that. Also, Florida, I know good weekend for them today, just still being at the bottom like that is just shocking to me. And then that's really it. Those were the things that really stood out. And then Arkansas and Tennessee obviously fighting with each other in those, spots outside of first kind of adds up to me. So those are the things I noticed.
I think before the season, if you told us at the midway point that Texas A&M would be 6-9 in the league, I think we'd be like, wait, what? But now, like, it's kind of weird, right? Because now they're one of the hottest teams in the SEC. So, like, have they figured it out? We'll wait and see. Like, we still got 15 more SEC games to go. But I think A&M stands out. Just because before the season, if you were like midway point at the turn, they were 6-9, that definitely would have raised some eyebrows. And then I think the other two we need to touch on are Auburn and Ole Miss. I think they're kind of above what we thought they would be at the midway point.
Yes, very much so.
My biggest surprise is probably Texas. It just, I thought Texas was a top 20 team. I didn't know it was maybe the number 1 team in the country tomorrow, especially if you told me Blue hurt. And now, as someone mentioned, Adrian Rodriguez, their freshman third baseman that they've relied on. I would have just said, okay, under those circumstances, there's no way. But here's Texas. I think Ole Miss at 9-6, very much up there. What did they win last year? 7 games in the league?
Already more wins than last year.
Yeah. So those guys, Alabama's been, well, I can't say Alabama's a surprise. I didn't know what to expect, but you got to be happy sitting there at 8-7. I think A&M, none of us would have thought A&M would be 6-9 at this point. Having said that, Arkansas at Vandy, Tennessee on the road, you would have said, okay, you could see, you could see some hiccups potentially. I wouldn't have seen 9 losses at the midway point, and I certainly wouldn't have seen it playing out as bipolar as it's been. Florida, Graham, we talked. I mean, we talked before the season. I said I was a little concerned that Florida was overranked. Now, having said that, when Florida had all its pieces out of the gate, and all the pitchers were healthy and they were really going, I thought, okay, that's a really talented team. But I wouldn't have expected Florida to be 4-11. And I did think South Carolina would be better. But before the season, when the Jerzenbeck injury happened, that was a really bad sign. They've had a couple more. So I'm not shocked with 2-13. I did think that team would be better, but I also thought that team would have Eli Jerzenbeck, which it will not have for a pitch this season.
Chris, you've been around the league for a minute. I can't remember 0-15 at the turn. Can you?
No.
That was a bad no. That was like no, like dreadful no.
But here's the thing. I don't remember a year where the league had, what was it, 9 or 10 of the top 12 in the RPI either.
Right.
I mean, and here's the thing. Like you're seeing Arkansas fans mad in the chat tonight. Vanderbilt fans are upset with Tim Corbin right now. But I'm like, look at the league, guys. I mean, Arkansas being 12-3 at the break, with the key arm or two having missed a lot of time. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? I don't know. It's not been maybe the toughest schedule. You've had Missouri and South Carolina in there, and that's some easier wins. But, I mean, I think easy is relative in this league. I mean, South Carolina can compete with a lot of teams on the right weekend.
Right.
Yeah, I just think they just need more. They need more horsepower. Like they got 2, I think, that you could put on any team in the league, Petrie and Hall. Other than that, they just need more punch.
Yeah, and the pitching, when you get your ace hurt and you're not particularly elite on the mound, you're going to run into a lot of trouble in this era of college baseball in this league.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of South Carolina, sorry I missed last night, but man, I am fascinated to see what they look like moving forward. I mean, they had to be thinking, all right, at least we're getting game 3. Like they're up big.
Oh,
and
man.
The biggest come from behind win in program history for A&M.
Yeah.
To do that. I mean, 15 to go. Like what do the Gamecocks look like? The one positive, at least Eskew's back.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know really where you go. I think they need to just get an SEC win, and really series win, but just another SEC win to get confidence bubbling again. So that's going to be the key to it. Because even like I say that they did that at Mississippi State, and then Mississippi State just handled the rest of the series and they lost it. So
yeah, and it doesn't get easier. They got Ole Miss this weekend.
Yeah,
this coming weekend.
All right, biggest storyline coming out of the weekend. I'll go Alfred and then you, Graham.
And
that is a tough one, I know. I mean, because so many good teams in this league. I've got one in my head. I'm interested to see if it is yours.
I'll do one I don't think y'all have that I think is pretty big. I think the Mississippi State thing, just the fact that, this was, Graham, you said it the whole time, Chris Lemonis is going to be gone soon. It's just a matter of time. Since then, crickets, right? on that end because they've just been winning. And now you look at it, I know they're only 5-10 now in SEC play, but the schedule is favorable. So we'll see how that ends up. It could end up very good for them. Won't go as far as hosting yet, but NCAA tournament is very well still in the picture for them.
Yeah, so my clear winner this weekend, and I mean, there's a lot, but you got to go with Auburn, right? I mean, none of us thought that they would sweep a top 3 LSU team. So, I mean, my main takeaway is Auburn is legit, and I mean, they just kind of crashed this party, so they're going to be in the top 10 along with a bunch of other SEC teams, and Auburn and Tennessee are really the only 2 teams in this conference that play and kind of lean on a lot of freshmen.
Yeah. We said before the season, watch Butch Thompson year after an off year. I think Auburn was, with apologies to everybody else, and there were a lot of great stories. Auburn, to me, the story of the weekend, sweeping LSU. Before the season, I looked at A&M and said, okay, you got to pick those guys as your preseason number 1, or you look silly. Based on what all those guys did last year, based on the starting pitching, based on the lineup depth, based on having the preseason National Player of the Year, whatever you needed, A&M seemed to have it other than a coach with experience. And now that's playing out differently, of course. But to me, Auburn – I'm just so impressed. I think maybe the underrated storyline in the league. I mean, and the top gets a lot of the attention disproportionately sometimes, and understandably so. But they've got so many freshmen playing who are tough outs. They're a tough team to pitch to. They got Irish healthy last few weeks. Cooper McMurray is one of the more underrated players in this league. They got an ace in Sam Dutton that I think if you're talking about maybe surprise breakout player of the year, he might be that guy. And they have pieced it together. Like, I thought if you said, okay, Auburn is a little bit of surprise, I would have said one of the big storylines was Hayden Murphy, who tore it up in the Cape. Hasn't happened. But Butch Thompson just finds a way. And I thought LSU, again, back to where I was going with A&M, what I meant to finish that with was I thought LSU might be the best team in the country. And look, LSU, even after losing the series, still might be. That's what I think of what Auburn did this weekend. I mean, I would not be shocked if LSU, just with the lineup depth, the bench depth, the elite arms at the top, and the guys that are underperforming are talented. Still, LSU could still win the whole thing. Auburn swept them this weekend with a really young lineup.
Tiger Brother in our chat said they're national seed caliber. I said that on Friday, or even when we recorded last night, Chris, that at this point after this, you have to include them in the conversation based on RPI and the wins they've gotten. So back-to-back series wins over top 10 opponents. Pretty good.
Boy, and if they do it this coming weekend, there's no doubt about it. Like, they got a monumental showdown this weekend.
Yeah. What are they on the road?
They're in Austin.
No, what is Auburn's record on the road? I'm looking that up. They're 3-5.
They dropped to Georgia. Their only series loss is in Athens.
Yeah, and they lost all of them by 3 runs. 3 runs, and 4. Pitching took it on the chin, but that happens in Foley.
That's kind of before Auburn kind of settled in and figured it out, though. You know, what their pitching and rotation is.
They do have to go to Knoxville. That's on the horizon for them too.
Oof.
Also beat Georgia Tech in the midweek. That's a really good win.
Yeah. So if they are a national seed at the end of the year, it's safe to say they earned it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's the big storyline I continue to watch. If you're the SEC and you've got a hosting resume, but it's not one of your top 5, 6, 7, 8, look out. I'm watching to see, like, you don't want somebody on the West Coast to sneak in the top 25 of the RPI and get gifted one for geography or whatever. Yeah,
that happens all the time, but I kind of think those days are over. I kind of think I think you're going to see majority of these are going to be SEC, ACC. Like this part of the country that we're in, the Southeast. Like there might be one here or there that'll threaten and have a chance, but I just think you're looking at Power Four teams getting ready to buckle up and take control over this as far as hosting, national seeds, all of that. With NIL, facilities, everything. Everything favors the big guy over the little guy.
You have more faith in NCAA committees than I do.
Well, yeah. Now the wild card and what we haven't touched on is like who is on the committee, like how many baseball guys are on the committee. And I know like you put up the same thing, like that's a thing on social media, Hawaii. Like everybody, it's a good story for like kicks and giggles, but could you imagine if they hosted? Like,
oh man,
jeez. Good luck if they're playing a team on the East Coast. Like those poor fans that have to stay up and watch that.
Okay, I mean, and here's maybe you work at it backwards. Okay, Clemson, barring a collapse, is going to host. Coastal Carolina firmly in that territory. Oregon State's going to host.
Yes,
barring something weird. Georgia Tech or North Carolina, maybe both.
Yeah.
Let's see what the Big 12 looks like.
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas could host. Big 12 champ usually is going to get one. Although TCU climbed into first place this week and top 15 RPI, so it would host at the moment. West Virginia, Arizona gets one, feels like every other year. West Virginia's gotten a few. See, I think maybe the bigger thing is like try to figure out how many teams outside the league you can make a case. Like Cal Poly right now, 17 in the RPI, Big West, 14 won the league. NCAA would sign them up for one.
Man, again, do they not even joking? Does their stadium have lights? That's a thing with some of these schools.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, UCLA will be another one too.
Mm-hmm. Is Oregon still up there? I didn't watch them that much this weekend.
I don't think so. I'm not sure Oregon's been ranked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure Oregon's as good as the record, but not that I'm following with a ton either.
But
anyway,
bottom line, give me the SEC over the rest of the field.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the weekend? We'll get to the chat in just a minute.
What you got, Alfred?
Interesting series, interesting results, interesting games all around. I think Tennessee bouncing back after maybe not playing as good as they would have wanted tells you how good they are and how good they'll continue to be in their search to go back-to-back and try to win back-to-back national titles for the first time since 2010, 2011, when South Carolina did it. Continuing to watch Texas A&M and Mississippi State sort of get back on the rise a little bit. Maybe even Florida after what they did against Missouri, something like that. Alabama, kind of seeing after this weekend, they've been kicked in the teeth a little bit, seeing if they can bounce back in the SEC going forward. And that's really it. LSU, I'll watch them next weekend because that's where Alabama goes to Baton Rouge. We'll see how LSU responds after a disappointing weekend at Plainsman Park.
Yeah, my main takeaways, I touched on it a little earlier. I kind of think it's more wide open than what we anticipated. I kind of think anybody in the top 6 really, really has a legit chance to win this thing.
Here's a question. Let's say it's Arkansas that hits the home run to win it today. Because Arkansas lost the series, but they were both one-run games, and it blew Georgia away in the other one.
Right.
Is our conversation tonight that Arkansas is clearly the class of the league?
I believe they are. Because, again, if the ball bounces a different way here or there, they just got a huge series win again on the road in league play.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I mean, it's just funny how one run game that flips a series can color opinions so much.
Yeah, you
Right.
can do that. You can do the same thing with Kentucky and Ole Miss right now.
Yeah. Now,
Ole
now
Miss
that I've
has,
seen,
yeah. Ole Miss, by the way, has 3 conference losses where they've had the lead in the 8th or 9th inning.
Yeah. All right, somebody took issue with something I said. Georgia pitching getting a better start, 2 of 3. They didn't get a better start. They got lucky with Arkansas hitting going cold after a game. Okay. Anyway. If I were looking at the box score lines, I know which ones I would have taken. Anyway.
The Georgia bullpen also did a good job. We can give credit where credit's due a little bit, too, on top of that.
I think that might be one of the storylines coming out of the weekend. Georgia pitching, getting it done those last 2 games against an offense that just been unstoppable. And the other one we haven't talked about as much today is A&M. My goodness.
Mainly because they've wrapped up yesterday. They didn't play today.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, they definitely look good. I mean, anytime you hit 2 grand slams in an inning, like again, program record come from behind win. Like what a weekend for them.
I think what needed to happen, they needed to get no hit earlier in the season because since then, all wins 9-3, 17-6, both over Tennessee, 14-1 over Sam Houston State, 8-7, 17-0, 15-12 over South Carolina. Now, I will say this. One thing I'm a little surprised about is as the offense has risen, the starting pitching, I feel like, has become maybe a little less special. And I do think that is a special 3-man starting rotation, which that's one of the few teams that I think has started all 3 guys all weekend. But anyway.
Yeah, for most of the season, the pitching hasn't been the problem with A&M. Now, if they're able to figure out both offense and the pitching, look out.
Yeah. Okay, here's another question for you. We were looking at hosting earlier. How many teams get in this thing? And is this the year that you see a 12-18 or maybe even an 11-19 team in the league get in if the midweek stuff and out-of-conference stuff is right?
I'll ask you, do you want me to include Mississippi State still on the come-up or just like ends today, what would happen?
They're still in the league, aren't they?
Yeah. Alfred, okay. I guess your question is like, we know Mizzou's not going to make it. Do you think South Carolina and Florida can make it? Those are your questions.
Carolina's not.
Teams in the NCAA tournament, I think it starts with Mississippi State on up. I think.
Yeah, I think Missouri's not going. South Carolina's not going. Everybody else has got a chance. Boy, speaking of Mississippi State, and I was going to get to Florida next. That's a big one next weekend.
Who do they have?
That could be that could be. I'm not going to say loser goes home. It's a little too early because you never know. But loser gets swept, and you're in a big world of hurt.
Yeah, very much so.
Without a doubt. That really is like the wrestling match. Loser goes home, that kind of thing. What a monster weekend that'll be. The dude will be electric. I can promise you that.
All right, let's flash forward to next weekend. We've got Ole Miss hosts Ole Miss goes to South Carolina. And by the way, good for the SEC. It needs to do 2 better. I hate Easter Sunday baseball. Not a big fan of Good Friday baseball either, but at least we got more games out of Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Your Thursday starts are going to be Ole Miss at South Carolina, Georgia at Vanderbilt, Alabama at LSU, Texas A&M at Arkansas, Auburn at Texas, Oklahoma at Missouri, which leaves you with your Saturday starting series of, let's see, Kentucky at Tennessee and Florida at Mississippi State.
A lot of good ones. A lot of really good ones. If Kentucky keeps up their attitude, that'll be a good, entertaining series in Knoxville. I'll say that. And then, oh god, A&M Arkansas, buckle up. That's my one I'm going to be watching.
I think that's your series of the weekend. With apologies to Auburn and Texas, I'm a little. I might go Auburn and Texas if that is in Auburn, but I'm just fascinated to see how Arkansas responds, which I think it'll respond fine. But can A&M keep up this heater? Like if you'd said before the season, you know, you might have circled that as the series of the year, honestly.
Oh, heading into the year? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You definitely would have.
Yeah. I thought I remember that right, Sam. Tennessee does always play on Easter.
Is that a Tony Vitello thing, or is that a university thing?
I don't know. I feel like there's two teams that like, and this is somewhere in the corner of my head. I feel like there's like a couple teams that always don't mind doing that, and they're one of them. Is the other one Florida?
This year it would be, but
yeah, yeah. Although that's away from Gainesville, I feel like those are maybe the two teams, but I could be wrong. But yeah,
well, I feel like we say it every week. Like, can't wait for the weekend. Like, tell me another conference that just has as many storylines as this. I'll hang up and listen.
None.
Yeah,
0, none.
And somebody said this in the chat. And I don't listen to as much national stuff as I probably should. I probably will get into that a little bit more because we just had our hands full here between basketball and baseball. But, man, what the SEC is doing is historic. I mean, if you think that what the league did in basketball was special, this is clearly better than that.
Well, the difference is the end results. 7 national champions in a row, all different universities, right? And I mean, it could be more, if Arkansas is able to beat Oregon State. So, and a lot of these are SEC against SEC as well. It's not like an SEC team playing somebody from a different conference for the whole thing.
Is that fan base as manic tonight as the Arkansas fans in the chat have been, or has it just been a couple?
What's that, Texas?
And I get it. Like ever since the event that shall not be named in 2018, Arkansas. I get that it's we're cursed. It'll never happen for us, which, a lot of teams have said that and then brought home hardware before. But
right.
They take them unusually hard, I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, guys, I'm a big New Orleans Saints fan, season tickets, all that stuff. If they lost in fashion like what Arkansas did for the national championship, if you just make a catch in foul territory. But I mean, we've said this on here before. Like, I'm a big believer in Dave Van Horn. He's too good. He's too consistent. I really believe before he hangs it up, he's going to get one. And I can also like the one that nobody talks about, the year that Ole Miss won. If Arkansas beats Ole Miss twice, they beat them once. If they would have won the pitcher's duel, Dylan DeLucia just went out of his mind for Ole Miss. That game was 2 hours. Connor, I can't remember his last name. He pitched for Arkansas. If Arkansas beats Ole Miss, they're going to beat Oklahoma, in that series. So I know everybody likes to talk about except for Arkansas fans, likes to talk about the Oregon State series. But if Arkansas gets past Ole Miss in 22, like, they're going to beat the Sooners.
Yeah.
I would still. Thank you. Connor Nolan was awesome that day. Like,
oh yeah.
If Dylan DeLucia doesn't go the distance, like, there's going to be a statue built for Connor Nolan because he was lights out.
Yeah. I still, if I had to pick a national title winner right now, got to get it right, I think I'd still take Arkansas.
100%. 100%. I would go the same way. And I think a lot of people beyond us would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Media-wise.
I feel like you've got Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU are national title contenders. And I'll tell you, here's the other intriguing thing coming out of the weekend. If Georgia's pitching looks like that, I would put them in the group. I'm if you can't really pitch, I don't care if you score 20 runs a game. I just will not put you in that elite group in my head. But we thought the pitching would be better. If you get what you got the last 2 days, Georgia, I think, can join that group.
Yeah, if they're a national seed and are at home for their regional and super regional, I have a hard time thinking they won't be in Omaha and in a position to do it. So
yeah.
That's the biggest thing is that home field is probably as massive as any, and it's probably the biggest one in the country with what they've done there so far.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything in the comments to get to.
Lots of Texas and Arkansas.
Yeah. But by the way, glad the Texas fans are here.
Yes.
I don't think they've started to discover our channel. They didn't during basketball season and football season. Glad they're finding us for baseball. So great. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It's probably the greatest program in the history of college baseball, start to finish. So I guess I shouldn't be shocked. I mean, not that they're bad in other sports either, but they've been historically good in baseball, as we know. What else, guys? Anything we've missed here as we wrap it up?
Let me read Randy's thing. All Texas fans actually realize deep down this season, us kind of gravy. A little bit bad English there, but that's okay, Randy. And we're gonna ride it out. But nobody will be angry if we don't win it all this year. Not bad.
Yeah.
I think you meant this, Randy. The English is a little off, but I do
know what you mean.
I do know what you mean. Yes, Jim Schlossnagle, as good as he's been, does not have to win it all in year one in order for it to be a success. It's already been a huge success. Would absolutely not rule them out of winning it all, though. We'll say that.
Yeah, and thanks for the super chat, Quinn. But I mean, Auburn doesn't even have to be a national seed to make it to Omaha. I mean, Butch has already done it twice. So I mean, he doesn't. I mean, I would not be surprised even if they're not a national seed if they make it to Omaha.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, he's done so. I think here's gonna be the thing that you're watching on Selection Monday. It's who are we getting paired with? Like, I think these SEC teams are just going to be going, please, dear God, give us somebody else matching us with another host in the league. Like literally almost anybody.
Yep.
Oregon State might be an exception because of the travel and the weather. You can play in 50-something degrees out there in a regional. And I think, Clemson, maybe. Clemson's had a history of gagging it up in regionals. Alfred, you saw that last year too.
Yeah, a bad history of it.
But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I will get more dialed into the national scene as we get closer to the tournament. But right now, I would just be curious to see how many teams would genuinely scare the pants off you that aren't in this league.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody wants like the SEC super regional matchup, Like please let it be somebody else.
Yeah. I wanted to hit on Randy's comment too, because I think this is what's been in the back of my head all year, okay? I thought this will kind of be the year before the year. Because when you fire a coach in baseball, that usually means you got a couple of years of rebuilding. Now, look, Texas is a special situation. You've got, again, maybe the best program in the history of college baseball. You've got money. You've got all kinds of stuff. You've got Jim Schlossnagle, who has met expectations or better darn near every year he's been a head coach.
Yeah.
So I think he's right. That's where my head was before the season. I thought Texas would be middle of the pack and competitive, and I didn't rule it out because of Schlossnagle. And it's interesting to see That's a place with high expectations, but at least one Longhorn fan saw it that way too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the track record, plenty of sample size. We've seen him do it at TCU, A&M, and now Texas. So same thing. As long as he is there, Texas is going to be in business.
Yes.
Yeah. Parting thoughts, gentlemen.
Let's get to next weekend and do this again. That's all I'll say. That's all I'm gonna say, actually. I'll end it right there with that comment.
Graham?
Really fun weekend, all the way around. A lot of really exciting games. It's just good to see the game of college baseball growing. Like, you look around the league, you see attendance records. I feel like more and more eyeballs are starting to get on the sport, which is good. They got to do something about the 2.5 hour window, like for these national broadcast, like college baseball games take longer than 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like flex is your friend, like flex option. You know, we don't need Florida, Missouri to have 2 national broadcasts over the weekend after some of the monster games that we had. But I mean, fantastic weekend. Can't wait for another one.
May I add one other gripe?
What you got?
And you've heard it before. Can we please send announcers to the ballparks?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think now, I don't know if they're getting sensitive to it. I was watching Vandy in Oklahoma today, and I'm pretty sure is Kyle Peterson doing play-by-play, which was weird.
He was doing play-by-play?
Hang on a minute. I thought he was. It sounded just like him. It sounded just like him. And Chris Burke in the sidekick chair. I don't ever remember them ever showing him, which I'm guessing because they were doing it from home, and ESPN didn't want to admit that. But which was weird. Like, I don't know if they had somebody else and someone got sick and KP had to fill in, because I've never heard him do play-by-play, and he was really good at it too. If it was not him, he's got a voice twin. But yeah. I felt I saw a lot of games this weekend where, like, you would see balls really get out of the yard, and
they missed it. Like the Texas game, was it today or yesterday? Or he called it like a home run call, and it was just a foul ball.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I think, like, last week they were showing these guys, and they'd show them from their calling a game. One calling a game from his bonus room, and the other guy calling it from his bedroom or whatever. And I didn't see that as much this week. And my guess is it's because these guys are not doing it at the stadium, and they don't want you to know that.
Yeah,
which is bull. Come on, this is ESPN's got too much money. The sport's too good, and particularly this league. That is inexcusable. And if I'm the league, I'm going, come on, we're not having this. We're not splitting hairs over, a few $1,000s of travel cost every week.
Yeah, that's honestly what it is. So, as somebody that's in this world, like the first year back post-COVID, guys, it was rough. So, like, they mail, or at least what they did with me, like, they mail you everything. You set everything up. Like, I had to do, like, I was on the phone with somebody, and they were walking me through how to do it. And I'm broadcasting games in my living room. And it's like it's I have multiple TVs, different camera angles, and all that stuff. It's not the same. Nothing beats being in a ballpark, basketball arena, football stadium. Like, it's hard to describe. It just feels like you're in a phone booth, essentially, when you have a remote broadcast and you're the one. Like, you're not with an analyst. Like, you're looking at your analyst on your computer over Zoom, just so you can kind of see their face and their reaction and everything. Like, it is not the same.
Mm-mm.
And what happens if a teenager crashes into the internet box in your neighborhood and knocks that out? Then what?
Yeah, that has happened. One of my friends, Richard Cross, I can't remember, it was last year, and it's happened to Tom Hart as well. They just lose power, You lose power, and then you don't have a play-by-play guy for 4 to 5 innings.
Yeah. Got to get that better.
You don't have an excuse when you don't have basketball either. You don't have an excuse.
Right. And if the league, I mean, if we're going to sit here and brag about how good the product is, which we all believe that to be the case, put your name behind it.
Yeah. I think we're seeing it less and less. Like, I can't remember the last time I had a remote broadcast.
See, I feel like maybe I'm just painted. I feel like we've seen it more this year. I might be wrong. You could probably ask some of your colleagues off the record and see what they tell you. But
now this is the only sport where that happens. Like, it's just baseball.
Do they do it for softball?
It honestly depends on the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, some stadiums, softball wise, in the SEC are equipped to handle it better than others.
Who's getting better TV? Which sport's getting better TV ratings? I do not pay attention to that.
Compared to what?
SEC baseball or SEC softball?
It's softball.
Really?
Just because it's a quick turnaround, like, it's a faster product, fewer innings. Yeah. Whoever came up with the run rule, like 8 after 5, was a smart person.
Oh yeah.
So it just, for TV, it just flows faster. And when you watch some of these games, like in the Super Regionals and in the World Series in Oklahoma City and in Omaha, like, they continue to build on top of the softball stadium in Oklahoma City. Why do they do that? Because, it's a sport that has a lot of eyeballs and it's growing. Baseball is getting there, and I think it will continue to do. But that's what you're talking about. Like, you gotta go all in. You can't dip your toes in it. Like, you gotta go all in. Cannonball in the deep end of the pool.
I'll at least give them credit. They have sped the game up because those were getting just so hard to watch.
Yeah,
baseball was. So that's one thing that leadership in college baseball in the league's done well. But come on, let's get the folks. Let's get the broadcasters back in the yard. Yeah. With that, let's get the broadcasters to bed in this podcast. We got a big weekend. I think we're going to be having content every day. We're probably going to be doing something about 10 o'clock every day. I think we're going to do live shows 10 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Power Rankings. Tuesday will be midweek previews that night and just whatever people want to talk about. Wednesday will be a recap of those. We were going to record Power Rankings Thursday and put those out later today, and I did not realize there were so many Thursday starts. So I have to move that up a day, and then we'll have reactions to all this stuff. And I'm sorry, I meant to do something last night live, and we just had a miscommunication, and that did not happen. But we did get a recap out for those, so you can catch that on our channel. I'm going to ask a favor of everybody here. If you would, please, if you liked it, leave us a like, nice comment, whatever. That helps us with algorithms and helps us get found. Helps our whatever that we need to make this a living, and also do the same thing on the podcast feed. Most of our episodes, and we're doing baseball, football, basketball pretty much year round. Most of those are on whatever podcast feed you can find. If you would, we're trying to grow our audience here, and if you can leave us nice ratings on those platforms, leave us a 5-star if you feel inclined and some comments. That also helps us too.
LJ asked in the chat, it's around 10 Central Time. 10 a.m. Central Time.
I was going to get to that. Somebody noted, I don't take time off. That's right. No. We're trying to build this channel and expand it, get more people, great people in on our product to help me like I've got with you guys, get more people in the audience. That takes a lot of work. It has been 7-day work. I don't think I've had 10 days off since last week of July. But that's what it takes to get noticed. That's what we're doing. And we also try to be informed about what we're talking about. So thank you for noticing. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a great night. For Graham Doty, Alfred Esbin, we'll see you again soon at Southeastern 16.